Hey everybody, Nick Kypreos back for day 2 on the Real Kyper at Noon show. Players aren't the only ones in training camp this week, yours truly as well. We got off to a terrific start yesterday on an abbreviated version of our show, what you can expect, what you'll want, what you're used to seeing, what you'll be used to seeing again. And I got to be honest with you, like anybody else, including the players who have been off for 4 months, similar situation for me. 12 months ago, I was working at Sportsnet, had all this time off to be in front of a camera again, behind a desk. Kind of took a little bit getting used to here, and I'm still in that process. Hey, listen, you look around, you listen to various broadcasters. Some of them can go for 2 hours talking to themselves, talking to you, and it sounds and looks wonderful. I don't think I'm that guy. You know what guy I am? People around me, guests, co-hosts, and people to interact with. That's when I'm at my best. So what you're going to see today will be more of that. We've got some terrific guests. Yes, yesterday, yours truly went solo. Today, we're going to start pulling in some people. But much like training camp, it's an easy situation to go back to work, but it's not easy under extraordinary circumstances. So yes, there is a sense of urgency with all teams in training camp, but we're starting to see some various patterns that have followed the teams. And like any training camp, you start hearing news about what feels good about the systems they're talking about, or their specialty teams, or players like Kotkaniemi in Montreal. All of a sudden, you're starting to hear stories that he looks good, he's feeling strong. And then the proof in the pudding, the first couple of games into the regular season. That's when everything settles in and you truly know what you have after a training camp that'll be short and sweet. Games start as early as August 1st. All right, I told you this show will look more like what you're used to in the past because I'm going to invite a few people in. And one that we've talked about over the last little while, a guy that I am familiar with, but I've been away for 12 months. Somebody else has been away for 12 months. And we are talking about a certain guy from PEI, Doug MacLean. Where are you, Doug MacLean?
Hey, I'm in PEI. Where else would I be? Once they let me in, like it wasn't easy to get accepted to PEI after being born and bred here, but they let me over the bridge. I am in PEI. Actually, I'm in town at our office, and wow, I'm so excited to get a chance to come on this show.
Can you believe they gave me a show?
No. Well, you know what I was thinking when I heard you got your own show? I thought of when Jimmy Fallon got his first chance to have his own show on NBC, and I said, it's kind of similar, I mean, Nick's big, Fallon's big. I mean, I don't know, and I'm just so excited to be able to come on.
He's funnier than me, I can tell you that.
Yeah, he is, no doubt about that. Your sense of humor is average.
So you were in Florida up until what, about a week and a half ago?
Right, we were there 8 months, actually. We usually don't spend that much time there, but we went down, and all of a sudden when the pandemic hit, we got sort of stranded. We usually leave there mid-May to come to PEI, so I did my application to come back to PEI. First, I left a message with the Premier's office, Premier Denny King. I phoned, and his assistant answered, and they had asked me a few years ago would I consider running for the Premier of PEI, and of course I turned them down after having a conversation with Jill. So I left a message with the secretary. I said, listen, make sure you tell Denny that I'd like to come home, and he wouldn't have the job unless I turned it down. Didn't go over that big. My joke didn't go over that big. She said, well, aren't you glad you turned it down now with this pandemic going on? So finally I got accepted to come home, and we come home 2 weeks ago. So it was great.
I know a lot of your jokes that haven't gone over too well over the years, okay?
That one didn't go over big.
That's not one of them. Now, you are their favorite son. You are the ambassador. We wouldn't even have heard of PEI if it wasn't for you. But you weren't too happy with them. publicly on your social media sites like Twitter. I mean, are you in hot water right now with PEI because what they delayed you coming back to the province?
No, you know what? They were pretty good. They were so overwhelmed. I mean, and the pandemic has hit everybody so hard. I didn't expect any special treatment. I really didn't. And I kept talking to the people in the office there about, coming home, and they said, well, you're in the US, and you can't come anyway because you can't get across the border. And I said, no, I'm a Canadian citizen. I can get across the border tonight, tomorrow. So once we got it all sorted out, they were terrific, and it's gone well. So look, we're just excited to be here. I'm serious. When you're battling to come back to your home province and you've got such a serious situation going on as this pandemic, you don't take anything for granted. But to get home here has been really special. And you know what? They've done a marvelous job here. Not one hospitalization in all of PEI since this pandemic started. Not one death, not one hospitalization. So full marks to the people here. So you don't look for favors this time of year. Me and you have looked for some. I mean, it's one thing to say, well, we want to sneak into the, Air Canada Center, and we want to, Kip, can you get me into the, the alumni lounge? And like, you don't ask for favors when there's such a thing as this pandemic going on. Really, I'm just really appreciative to be in PEI, and I'll tell you what, it is an amazing place to spend summer. A little bit of golf. My golf game, by the way, Kippy, has taken an amazing step. As I've sent you some scorecards this winter from Florida, you'd be a little nervous to play me right now. I'm really taking an amazing step. I started as a 25 handicap, and I've really moved it down, and I'm really focused on my game. So I feel pretty good.
So the two best balls you hit all day now are when you step on the rake?
Exactly.
Hey.
Exactly. By the way, the kids, I got the pitching net for my 14-day isolation in PEI. The kids, before I left Florida, they gave me a pitching net, for the lobs, for pitches, and I've been working that in the yard. I've got a putting green on the deck. You know what? I feel good. So we'll see. We'll see.
So let me ask you something. This new attitude about not needing or reaching out for favors, does that extend to the Florida Panthers when you need tickets?
No, that doesn't extend to any NHL team that needs favors and needs me to be nice to them. But they don't need me to be nice because I haven't been on the air for so long, so they don't really give a rat's butt about me anyway. That's for sure. So we'll see, though. We'll see. I could become big again, I think, but I just don't know when or where. But I'm working on it.
What are you talking about? I'm going to make you a star on this show. Okay,
Yeah,
I couldn't do it at Sportsnet. I couldn't do it on Hockey Central at noon. But I will make you a star on Real Kyper at noon.
Well, the bosses sort of really, wouldn't let us be ourselves there, I found. I mean, we just were so calm, cool, and collected there. And,
right.
as our host used to say, why are you trying to make us look bad? So, we had to get rid of a host.
So I also found out that your trip from Florida back up to PEI was in style. So while we're all clamoring to save as much money as we can during this pandemic, you went out and you bought yourself a pretty big toy. Tell us about it.
Well, look, Jill and I, as we move into our golden years, she's talked about an RV for a while, and we took a trip to Newfoundland last year. We rented one and went with a couple of couples in 3 different RVs. So I'm sitting on the deck one night having a glass of wine, and I'm really getting ticked off that I can't get into PEI. So I walk into the place and I say, hon, I've just decided, we've talked about a motorhome. I'm getting one tomorrow. I'm getting a motorhome, and we're leaving Florida. It's too hot. We're leaving Florida, and we'll cruise the eastern seaboard till they let us into PEI. So we get on the road 2 days. We think we're going to be on the road 3 weeks with this new RV. We're going to camp. We're going to cruise. And I'm really handy with, lighting fires and all that sort of, lighting barbecues. So anyway, we get on the road 2 days, and all of a sudden we get a message from PEI that we have to be there. We got on the road Monday. We get a message Wednesday. You have to be in PEI by Sunday night at midnight. So all I did is put it, the pedal to the metal in the RV, and we head to PEI. And it was kind of funny coming across the bridge. I said that I would be coming in a Lexus when I applied and had to give my license plate. All of a sudden, we show up at the bridge with a Mercedes RV, and
of course,
they're questioning me. I said, they're questioning me. I said, well, it's just a different vehicle. But they said, well, okay. So anyway, we made it here, and the RV's been fun. And you know what? It's been really great. It's been parked in the driveway now for 2 weeks and hasn't moved since we got here. So I'm really excited about having it.
I'm sure. Who's your closest neighbor? Darren Millard? He's got to stare at that big thing every day in your driveway?
No, we don't really have a neighbor, so we're okay. We're okay.
So is this thing like the real deal, like bells and whistles, or is this an extension of your 1970 van that read, "If it's rockin', don't come knocking"?
No, you know what? It's a C-class 25-foot. It's perfect for two people. You know, Jill and I can see ourselves heading to California in the fall and just taking a month in the RV. Just her and I spending some real retirement quality time together. She's very, very excited about being with me in that close proximity.
So,
right.
So who's doing the cooking and the cleaning in this thing, you or Jill?
I'm doing the driving. I'm the driver.
You're the driver.
I'm the driver. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. Look, it might be sold soon.
Well, you got to send us some pictures. We got to get some pictures up. We want to see exactly what you're dealing with on a daily basis driving this thing. Are you running it into town to run errands, or?
No, we're just keeping it in the driveway plugged in. Well, the only thing that they didn't prepare for in PEI with this pandemic is that when you go into your 14-day isolation, your fridge is supposed to work. Well, our fridge broke down day 2 of isolation. You think a technician will come into your house when you come from Florida? Not a chance. So I said, everything the great Dr. Morrison did preparing for the pandemic, the one thing she forgot is if you're in isolation and your fridge breaks, well, you're in trouble. You don't have. So luckily, we had the RV fridge and it worked out perfect. So, I mean, it's been very useful. I may get to sleep in it too a few times.
I'm sure money was. Listen, it's your doghouse too. Don't Jill's no dummy, man. That thing, as soon as she kicks you out of the house, it's right outside. She doesn't have to think that you're going too far when she kicks you out.
No, I know. I feel good about that.
All right, so listen. Yesterday on the program, I said I need help here.
Mm-hmm. Okay? I don't doubt that.
I'm not a one-man band here. I don't like talking to myself.
You sure aren't.
For an hour. So, as the now director of hockey for linemovement.com, I got a lot of hats here, Mac.
Yeah.
A lot of hats. Mm-hmm. So yesterday, I wasn't proud to say that I've got a limited budget to hire people.
Yeah.
But I've got an expanded role now. So I'm also HR on Hockey Central at noon. Did you know that? And I'm in charge of hiring. So this is where we're at right now with you, is that
interview.
I've got to take off my analyst hat, my insider hat, my whatever you wanted accustomed to. And now I got to put on an HR hat.
Sure.
So I don't know if you're aware of this, but yesterday I put you on a PTO tryout for the show.
No, hey, you know what?
Are you?
I'm just excited to have a chance to be on the air again. I've had a few requests, but actually I've turned down a lot. But anyway, no, look, I appreciate a PTO all day. Look, when I interviewed for the Panther job, I had to meet with the legend Bill Torrey, and go through the process with Brian Murray first and Bill Torrey. This is very comparable to me. You're the Bill Torrey of.
I'm not. I don't have a bow tie
of this show.
I don't have a. Did he have a bow tie on when you spoke?
Oh yes, he always had a bow tie on.
Always had a bow tie.
Always.
Okay, so listen, I'm not Kyper. I'm not Kippy. I'm Nick from the HR department.
Yes.
We are now going to conduct in front of everybody an official interview. Okay.
Right.
So listen. No inside stuff, no nothing. This is legit here, okay?
No smart ass comments.
No.
Just
well, listen,
okay.
I mean,
okay.
I listen.
Okay.
You could blow the interview. You want to be a smart ass? You could blow the interview, and I'll I'll go to John Shannon tomorrow.
Have
Okay?
you ever thought that maybe I want to blow the interview?
Did you hear what I said? I'll go to John
Retirement's
Shannon.
pretty.
I'll go
Oh
to
my
John
God.
Shannon next.
Look, I've had some bad insults. But that's right up there. Like, seriously.
Okay.
Anyway, that's fine. I like
Okay.
Shanny.
All right, here we go.
He's more of a behind the scenes guy though than I am, I think.
Are you ready for this?
I think I am. I've done a lot of preparation. I've done my homework. I feel pretty good going into it, but I got to tell you, I'm nervous.
Okay. Just take a deep breath, okay? Take a deep breath.
Yeah, okay. I did.
Okay. Welcome in. Appreciate you applying for this job. For the record, can you state your full name, please?
James Douglas MacLean.
You're not Doug James MacLean?
No, I'm James Douglas. James Douglas MacLean's born Summerside, PEI.
I never knew that. Should I
Oh, I
not
know.
been calling you Jimmy this whole time?
Well, mother, that was a problem because my dad's name was Jim, so that's why they went with Doug.
Okay, I'm already confused, and that's
just go to
first
Mac
question.
maybe. Although
Okay.
Mac may not be proper in an interview, but
Okay.
you can call me
Okay.
Mac or Doug or whatever
Okay,
you want.
let's get back
yeah.
on track here. I don't know you. You don't know me. Okay, we're back. Okay, James Douglas MacLean, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I like, as Jill says, I like to talk about myself a lot. So this is born in PEI. Left here at 16 years of age to play for the Montreal Junior Canadiens, which was quite a big deal, and ended up there for a couple of years. And then I ended up playing in Brockville for a year, and where I met my wife in high school, grade 13, and went to St. Louis Blues training camp. And I got sent to Johnstown Jets, and it was quite an experience. And I was there couple of weeks, and I went out to dinner with one of my new teammates, a group of them, and his name was Reg Kent. And I was sitting there. He said, "Oh, how did you get to Johnstown?" I said, "Well, St. Louis sent me down to Johnstown, and I'm here." And he said, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm really, really excited, but I do have a chance to go to university on a Hockey Canada scholarship." And he said, "Hey, young fella," he said, "Detroit had sent me here 9 years ago, and I've never heard from them since. So if you have a chance to go to college, get your ass out of here." So that was the end of my pro career, and then I moved on to college. So then I graduated from college, became a high school teacher, a junior coach in town, and then went back and did a master's in psychology at the University of Western Ontario, which I didn't think would come in handy. But once I started working with you and Darren Millard at Sportsnet, I needed that master's in psychology to help me deal with you two. But anyway, then
I'm sorry, I don't know those people. I don't know those people.
Anyway, so then I became I taught high school, then I became a college coach, and then I got a chance to go to the NHL, and I was 22 years in the NHL. As an assistant coach, associate coach, a head coach, assistant GM, general manager, and a president. Okay. So all right, I sort of lived 22 years in that rat race. So interesting. And now I'm retired and happily retired.
Very interesting stuff there, James.
Oh yeah,
Douglas MacLean. So,
like I said, I like to talk about myself.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Let's shorter answers, please. We got a lot of people to interview on this show.
I know.
James Douglas, your strengths and weaknesses.
Well, as I said, I like to talk about myself as one of my strengths.
No, weakness.
One of my weaknesses. I like to talk about myself.
Let's go to strengths, not
you know what? I'm a real team guy, and you can attest to that. When we were on another show and Darren Millard said something I didn't like, I threw a water bottle at him, and I thought he was concussed. And then so I'm a team guy. I like to get along with everybody. So I think being a team player is my number one attribute, to be quite honest. Knowledge, I think I'm reasonably knowledgeable in the sport, but I've leaned on you a little bit over the years for your knowledge, and picked off what I like. But overall, I've got a decent grasp in the game.
I'm Nick from HR. I don't know what you're talking about, but this one's important.
You know what? I'll tell you something. In my entire career, In my entire work career, I never visited HR once in my life.
I find that hard to believe. See,
Never.
now I would
You're,
have to get I'd have to put a team together to start investigating you.
yeah.
But this
Okay.
is a very important question on the Real Kyper at Noon show, because it will tell us a little bit about you. So, I want an honest answer.
Sure.
Why did you leave your last job?
I left my last job. You know what? I was 2 days before my last paycheck, and I got called in to have a meeting with my boss, and he I kept telling everybody that would listen to me, that work with me, that they aren't going to bring me back. They're not going to pay me this much money to fly in for 3 days a week from Florida. They're not going to do that. And everybody said, no. So why I left my last job is because the boss called me in and said, we've decided, we're not going to renew your contract. So it was devastating news.
Yes.
It
You know
was
how you drown
devastating
your
news.
sorrows? You go buy a $200,000 RV. That's how you
No,
drown your
no,
sorrows.
it wasn't anywhere near that. But anyway, no, I was, hey, I had a great run at Sportsnet. We had a great time.
All right.
That's
listen,
fine.
We got, like I said, we got a lot of people to interview here. Here's the last one, okay? And this one could make or break you. Why should the Real Kyper at Noon show hire you?
I think probably because my experience with you is that you probably need me more than I need you. I think you probably need me bad, to be quite honest. But that's just my own opinion. I mean, you're okay. You're pretty good. I don't know. I don't recall. Did you win a Gemini at Sportsnet? I don't know. Maybe you did. Then I missed it. But
no.
So you know what? I think that you probably could use some help and some knowledge mixed in with your, your funny stuff.
All right. Well, listen. We'll get back to you. We will.
Okay.
We will get back to you. Okay.
I just really appreciate the opportunity.
But in the meantime, why don't we just do a quick rehearsal here for the next 5 or 10 minutes, and we'll see about your knowledge. I'm not sure if you're opinionated enough. I'm not sure if you're quite honestly entertaining enough. But why don't we just go through another 5-7 minutes here and really discuss what you basically have seen in the last 12 months that you've been off. You got to watch hockey okay, I'm not Nick from HR now. I'll go back to being Kyper. What have you seen, Mac, in the last 12 months in terms of the start of the season and then shutting it down? My question to you is, what do you make of all this madness going on?
Well, look, it was so frustrating because, you're into March and you're really, that's the stretch drive. And I'm watching, trying to evaluate who I think are the real serious contenders and who's on top of their game. And I'm watching the Bruins play a lot. I'm watching Tampa play a lot. I'm watching the Caps and St. Louis. And you're trying to get a feel for who the real contenders are. And then to have it abruptly end like that, I was actually, when it happened, I was sitting with Jack Armstrong having a beer at the little bar in Florida, and it popped up.
How are you?
And we were having a beer together and talking, and he was telling me the NBA was going to close down, and then it came across the screen that the NBA was closing down that night, and I knew that if the NBA closed down, that our commissioner would close down the NHL within 30 seconds because he likes to follow that NBA format, which he had a history with them. So it was really discouraging. And now you're sitting here saying, wow, it looked like the Tampa Bay got over their hiccup last year where the Blue Jackets destroyed them in an embarrassing fashion. The Bruins looked like the Bruins got destroyed by St. Louis and they were a pretty good team. So, it was sort of fun to watch. So now we're seeing everybody come together. It's oh my God, it's a love fest. I mean, a new 6-year deal. I mean, Donald Fear and Gary Bettman are best buddies. I mean, seriously.
So-
and I watched that lottery debacle, and I'm thinking, like, come on, get this right, boys. Let's get the game on the air. You can't screw that up. Let's get it on the air, hopefully. Hopefully the bubble's as safe as everybody says. We don't want anything to happen. I'm excited. I'm excited about it starting.
We need them to screw up, so we have plenty to talk about here.
Oh, no. We will have plenty, don't worry. If I'm lucky enough to be successful in this,
Here we are. Here we are now, days into training camp, and still people. I don't know if it's split, Mac, but it really comes down to that basic question: to play or not to play. Where are you on it?
Well, look, I just really believe that Gary Bettman and his group have really taken this to an unbelievable level with respect to safety. I really believe that they are going into this bubble with 700 people in each group, 52 members per team, 12 teams in each bubble, and they've got it down, I hope, to a science. The question is what happens from now to when they move to the bubble. Can everybody, we've seen, outbreaks. We saw the situation in Pittsburgh, 9 players are removed, concern. We've seen, 43 or so players that have tested positive while they're with their own teams thus far. How is that going to shake out? I hope they get to the bubble and give it a chance. And I think they've done enough homework that it'll work safely. Do I blame any player that doesn't want to play? I see Max Domi's questioning it. Obviously Hamannik's decided not to. Mike Kitchen, the assistant coach with the Florida Panthers, an important guy with them, has stepped away. So you can't blame anybody because, look, I mean, it's a devastating, serious pandemic. So I can't blame anybody. But I just hope it gets there and it's given a chance, because I think we could really see some interesting hockey.
I don't even see a scenario where they have to shut it down in 2 or 3 weeks as being a failure. I spoke about it the other day. I'd rather fail trying than not at this point. And I agree with you in terms of PEI right through to the other side in Vancouver. I think for the most part, we've done an incredible job of keeping those numbers down, and that's something that the U.S. couldn't compete of. Max Domi wants 10 days to make a decision on whether or not he'll come back to play. But as we have proven with the announcing of the hub cities, a lot can happen in a very short period of time. Vegas was in. They had one of the hubs. And on a daily basis, to watch their numbers go up, it was no surprise that Gary Bettman at the last minute had to pull out of Vegas.
Yeah, and look, let's not kid ourselves. The NHL is poised to lose between $1.25 billion and $1.5 billion. This is a chance to recoup $500 million of that TV money, of the drastic amount this loss could be. So the $500 million is out there as a motivating factor as well. Safety was without a doubt number one. They've got to make sure that's locked down tight. I agree with you. I think it looks good, but it's still about money. It's still about the $500 million that's sitting out there that the league and the players can recoup to try to not. I mean, look, this is going to take 5 or 6 years to build this back up. $4.8 billion in revenue they were trending towards this year. When is that going to come back to that? That's the devastation that's happened here, and owners and players alike are desperate to try to make this work financially, but nothing works financially, Nick, unless they're healthy.
Wow, come on, Mac. You get rid of escrow, and I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell, as you like to use that term a lot, that the players would be coming back under these circumstances to save 10% of their salary. Totally. This isn't the players coming back because they want to play. This is players coming back because they have to play.
I agree 100%. And don't just lump the players into that. Some owners desperately need to play too. And there's, these owners are unbelievably successful business people, but lots of their businesses are hurting as well, not just their hockey business. So players, owners, fans, everybody needs it to come back, but players and owners in particular need it to come back to salvage some of the dollars that have been lost.
You've been a president, a general manager. Biggest responsibility in your career was running the Columbus Blue Jackets. You worked for an owner that you've spoken very highly about, the late John McConnell, right?
Yep.
Can you imagine today being in that scenario with your owner back then and dealing with him on a daily basis? How do you think you guys would have strategized moving forward in a pandemic?
Well, it would have been challenging, but the one thing about Mr. Mac that you respect, and we had a couple hundred people working for us at that time at the Blue Jackets operation when we had the lockout before, and he wouldn't cut anybody's salary. We put in a proposal, we'd all take 50% pay cuts, and the lesser, people making less money would take a limited pay cut or much less than the 50%. Obviously, maybe 10% to 25% pay cuts. And he sat with me one day and he said, look, I'm sorry, I'm not cutting anybody's pay. We're going to get through this. We lost $17 million as an organization in the lockout year because he refused to cut anybody's salary. So, I look today, his son runs the Blue Jackets. They have not cut one person's salary with the Blue Jackets organization. It talks about the type of ownership they have. Lots of teams have made drastic cuts. I talked to a guy the other day. He's lost 25% of his salary. He loses $2,000 net dollars a month. He wants to get it back. He wants them to start playing so he can get his money back and get back on track. So, look, it would have been challenging times. There's no doubt about that. Great little story. Todd Marchant was our one of the player reps and a very vocal guy in the players' union. And he said in the paper. You didn't
like that at all, did you?
I didn't. But he came out in the paper, and I love Todd. He was a good guy. He comes out in the paper and said, "We need the owners to take the shackles off us." And I'm thinking, oh, I read that in the paper, and all of a sudden, Mr. Mac phones. He said, "What did he say that I've got shackles on him?" I want to see. I'm not telling you how to run the team, but I want you to trade him when we come back. Todd Marchant was traded to Anaheim shortly after. So
that's when you need to have the stones to go back to your owner and say, hold on, settle down here.
So Todd was coming into the office to see me, and I went out and we had a big picture in the office, 8 or 10 people in the office, big player picture. So I said, take Todd's picture down. So they took Todd's down and they made him wait in the office for 10 minutes so I could see him, just so he could sit there and see that his picture was taken down. Anyway, those were some of the crazy things that went on. But anyway, I like Todd, and he went on to have a great career. And
hey, listen,
the best move that ever happened to him was I traded him.
I'm just happy you didn't share that story with Nick and HR. I don't think you'd ever get hired if you're pulling down pictures out of spite.
I know it's bad. But I've matured since then.
So are we in a situation here where we all assume that to own a professional sports team, NHL, baseball, football, whatever it is, we're dealing with billionaires with unlimited funds, deep pockets? Would it surprise you at all to hear some owners be in a situation where, quite frankly, they can't do this? The teams could be for sale in 12 months, 18 months?
Look, I was talking to a real estate guy the other day, and he said you can buy a famous chain name at 20 cents on the dollar, because that business has been hurt so bad. And people are hurting financially. I talked to another guy, a friend of mine in Florida, who runs a major chain, and he had to lay off 20,000 people in this pandemic. People who have tons of money have been crushed in this, and it's no different when you're an NHL owner. Some of them could be, some of them could be hard up right now. There's no denying that, in my opinion.
Well, listen, we know the owners. If we associate their name, we associate with the teams that they own, but they have multiple businesses that the public doesn't know about. And I'm not here to suggest anybody's in trouble or what their financial picture is. I have no idea. But a guy like Tom Ghilardi in Dallas is in the hospitality business, and you just don't know the effects that it's had on other businesses, and that's where it gets a little dicey, don't you think?
Oh, that's the challenging part. They all, the people that are in that business, and billionaire people are being crushed right now. So it's not unnerving that these guys some of them would be challenged. I saw Jimmy Lights just left the Dallas Stars. Jimmy's been the president there. I just saw he retired recently. You wonder, okay, what's really going on? I hope. I mean, look, Dallas has been a good franchise. Gillardy's been a good owner, so you hope to see that. You wonder the effect it could have on a Eugene Melnyk. I mean, Eugene Melnyk has had his challenges with the Senators, and they're not getting to play in, but. Obviously they look like they're moving in a great direction with their organization, and you hope that they can rebound. But look, you go back to escrow. The players don't like teams that aren't putting people in the buildings, and we've got a few that hopefully will come back strong here in the new era, or the new CBA.
Whatever it is,
yeah.
New era, new season, new season.
Right.
We're still trying to figure it all out here.
We're playing in, man. It's a play in, whatever the hell that is, but we're playing in.
Let's get into some hardcore stuff, because this is the end of the week now, and it's kind of been fun. I won't lie to you. Talking like this again with you is great. Let's get into some hardcore here. Just some quick one-timers here. In terms of now coming out of this not coming out of this pandemic, continuing to go into it, which teams have the most pressure to win right now off the top of your head? Name me one.
To me, the Tampa Bay Lightning have the most pressure after the debacle of last season when they went out 4 straight. There's no doubt in my mind they have the most pressure on them, and they got a tough road.
Without a doubt. We hear Stamkos is going to be skating at the end of the week, so that's a good thing. They have been the team that was supposed to win, for now, 3-4 years, the Stanley Cup.
They got to win. And look at the road. Look at the road they have to go through when you look squarely at the Boston Bruins, who, are an exceptional team right now. And with the way Philly ended, they look like they're poised to have a good run if the kid in goal can keep them going. And I just think it's going to be a tough road. I really believe that.
Okay, let's talk Toronto Maple Leafs. Is there any team that has more pressure on them based on 4 forwards making half the salary cap?
The last job I had, I was forced to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs for the first 20 minutes of every show. Is that a requirement of this show, or is it at the tail end of the show?
It is a requirement. 100% it's a requirement, because there's no team. There's no team that probably you love to hate more. How about that?
Well, look, it's interesting. I'm reading some articles recently that they're really trying to focus on playing good team defense. And I just thought last night that, are you serious? I've been listening to that since Babcock came here 5 years or 6 years ago. We're going to become more of a 200-foot team. We're going to really work on our defense. So they're working on their defensive side of the game for the 7th year in a row. So they better be ready, because they got a tough matchup with Columbus. Let me tell you.
You think this is their best chance in this 24-team tournament, or even next year? But after that, it's going to get really. There's only one place for the roster to go down in terms of talent on paper, and that's down after this season.
Well, you've talked about this more than anybody the last year, is where does everybody fit in when you start to pay the salaries that a Matthews, Marner, you got a goaltender's contract coming up in a year, I believe. You got Morgan Riley coming up shortly. You've got Barry, who will leave. You've got a salary cap that's going to be locked in unless revenues shock people, that it's going to be challenging. So this is a big opportunity for Toronto this year. This playoff is a big opportunity. This year is a big opportunity for them coming up next year, I should say.
Which really puts a lot of pressure on still inexperienced NHL-wise on Kyle Dubas and Sheldon Keefe. For guys that are still getting their feet wet at the NHL level, they've got a team that has to win right now. Now, I'm going to throw out a name and you tell me, and it's got a PEI connection. So this is where I need you to now do your homework for the Real Kyper show.
Right, right.
Would and I'm not going to suggest a little bird told me this, but would the Leafs be interested in a guy like Gerard Gallant to come in and help Sheldon Keefe get a team to win now?
Well, interesting. That's an interesting comment. I hadn't thought of that, to be quite honest, because I've talked to Gerard about obviously the interviewing in Jersey and where he thought he might end up because it became such a shock that he left Vegas when he did. I don't know. I mean, look, the Leafs, in my opinion, they lost an assistant coach. Moved on to the Kingston Frontenac, so they need another assistant. They give Dave Haxtell there. He's a good man. I would love to see them with a players type of guy in the mix there. I think that's a void right now for them. I really believe it's a void. I don't have any idea if Gerard. Why didn't you ask me this question before we went on the air? I asked him. I mean,
we're already stirring it up on the Real Kyper at Noon show, Mac.
You know what? I'm doing everything I can just to make to give myself a chance. That's all I'm trying to do here today. It's one of my it might be one of my biggest opportunities since I got fired. Retired.
Last one for some Montreal Canadian fans. Max Domi, is he in or is he out?
Look, I have a hard time believing. I mean, they need Max badly. I have a hard time believing that Max will play. I really do. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he gets medical clearance. I hope people tell him, and give him the impression that it is safe. But that's a tough call to make for this kid. You know how bad he wants to play. We know how much he means to the Habs. I hope it works out. But look, I can understand where he's coming from. Totally.
Well, he's skating. He wants it.
Yeah.
Unless anyone tells him otherwise, I think he's going to play.
I hope so. That is great news. And I'm not a big Habs fan, but it's great news.
Well, listen, I got to let you go.
Oh.
Or else you're going to invoice me for this. Where are you right now exactly? You're in you sell condos. We know you sell condos. Are you in a trailer, an office? Where the heck are you?
I'm at Harbor Edge. Harbor Edge is one of our developments here. I'm in their office downtown, Summerside. A good brew pub just opened across the street, the Enmore Brewery. So that's where I am, and it's 12 minutes or so from my cottage. So I come in here every day. Bruce Hickey, who runs this operation, was very excited when I was in isolation.
Listen, I don't want to end this for you personally on a downer, but I didn't hear the phone ring once.
The only time my phone rang this year was the U.S. Tax Department or you looking for information. That's the only time my phone rang. Or being asked to go on the Chirp.
The Chirp with Darren Millard. I went on his show. I went on that show. And Darren, we're going to get Darren.
It seemed like a long interview. It dragged on for me.
We have not, the three of us have not been together since Hockey Central at noon. And we need the three of us back together again. So that's going to happen real soon. Look for that in the next coming weeks that we'll get Doug. Well, that's providing if we hire Doug.
Yeah.
So listen, does it have to be currency, real currency that we pay you if we hire you for the show? Is there any way? Can I send you some little Buddha cocktail?
I'm just looking for a chance. That's all I'm looking for,
Okay.
As I said to Bill Torrey, Bill and Brian, I'm just looking for a chance, and like when I got the job in Florida and then TSN interviewed me and Vic Rauter said, were you the fourth or fifth choice for the Panthers? So even if I'm the fourth or fifth guy here, I would be happy, I just want an opportunity.
If
I'm trying to rebuild my career.
If Real Kyper at noon doesn't hear from John Shannon, Gord Stellick, Bill Waters, John Garrett,
Scott Morrison.
John still works at Sportsnet, so
Scott Morrison's busy.
Scott
He's
Morrison,
writing a book.
we will get a hold of you.
Appreciate
I promise you.
Really appreciate it. And look, I'm so proud of you that you've become a star. I was worried where you were headed, and I'm really proud that you've taken a big step.
Did you read i3's press release? It said media icon Nick Kypreos. Did you catch that?
No, I didn't read it. I just watched your video of your introduction. That was enough for me. Somebody mentioned your press release, but I haven't had a chance to read it.
That will be the one and only time anyone ever will refer to me as icon. I didn't even know they were going to do that. If I knew that they were going to use the word icon, I would have shut that right down. I will tell you this.
You wouldn't.
I will tell you this. That if we hire you here, okay, if we hire you here, I will put out icon Doug MacLean, but I'll drop the I.
God. I love it.
Okay. I promise you, but I have to drop the letter I in it.
No problem.
Okay.
Again, it's all about a chance.
Hey, a lot of fun today. A lot of fun. And I want to do this a lot more. So in the coming weeks, you're watching, you're on our YouTube channel, you're downloading major podcast platforms. We're going to have Doug MacLean involved a lot moving forward.
God, that makes me feel good. I'm so excited.
Thanks for doing this, pal.
Thanks, man.